All right, Bills Mafia. Let's dive right into it because things are heating up fast in the AFC East and the picture is getting wild. You look around and suddenly the Patriots are starting to look like a real threat again. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy after the last few seasons they've had, but listen to this. They've got a stretch of games coming up that could completely change how this division shakes out. They've got home matchups against the Falcons, Jets, Giants, and Dolphins, and then 2 road trips, one to the Jets and another to the Bengals. Those are 6 games that, on paper, New England should absolutely have a shot to win. If they can pull off that clean sweep, that's 12 total wins for them by the end of the season. 12. That would put them right up there with the Bills in the fight for the division crown. Now, of course, we all know it's the NFL. Nothing's guaranteed. You can think you're going to roll through 6 games, and then one bad day, one weird turnover, one injury, and everything changes. But if the Patriots really are as locked in as they've looked lately, it's not impossible to imagine them going 6-3 down the stretch and finishing with a 12-5 record. That's serious business. And if that happens, the Bills are going to have to match that total, maybe even top it to hang on to the AFC East title. Every game from here on out matters. Let's not ignore what's different about this Patriots team either. They got a whole new vibe going with their head coach, a rookie quarterback who looked way ahead of schedule in Drake May, and a familiar offensive mind in Josh McDaniels calling plays. That combination has given them a spark they haven't had in a long time. They're efficient, they're confident, and they're benefiting in a big way from something that doesn't get talked about enough, the last place schedule. That's right. Because they finished at the bottom of the division last year, their schedule this season lines up a lot easier in key spots. Look at the differences between the Bills slate and the Patriots slate. Buffalo faces Kansas City, while New England gets the Raiders. The Bills go against the Texans, and the Patriots get the Titans. The Bills draw the Eagles, and the Patriots see the Giants. That's a massive difference in difficulty. When you're battling for playoff seeding, those 3 games can swing everything. I'm not saying the Patriots aren't good. They've earned some respect, but let's be real, they're also taking advantage of that scheduling gift. And let me tell you something, Drake May has looked the part. 23 years old and already showing poise, arm talent, and a calmness that's rare in a rookie. He's not perfect, but you can see why there's so much excitement around him in Foxborough. Combine that with a solid defense and a rejuvenated offensive scheme, and you've got a Patriots team that's not just hanging around. They're legitimately competing. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, it's been a roller coaster. The Bills have had their share of injuries, and one of the biggest gut punches recently was the news about Ed Oliver. The guy was having a monster season, already piling up sacks, tackle for loss, quarterback hits, everything you could ask for from a defensive tackle. And then, boom, a torn bicep, and suddenly he's out indefinitely. It's brutal because Oliver wasn't just producing numbers. He was anchoring that defensive front and bringing energy every snap. He's been through a lot off the field too, and it felt like he was channeling that in his best football yet. Now, the team has to figure out how to fill that massive hole. Luckily, they've got Larry Ogunjobi coming back at the right time, a veteran who started over 100 games and knows how to handle that interior battle. But even then, depth is a concern. Daquan Jones is still banged up, DJ Sanders is on injured reserve, and guys like Zion Logan and Jordan Phillips might have to be signed from the practice squad just to keep the rotation alive. It's not the ideal setup when you're about to face offenses like the Chiefs and Eagles down the stretch. The plan was for this to be the best group of defensive tackles Sean McDermott has ever had in Buffalo, and we haven't even seen them all on the field together once. That's frustrating, no way around it. So yeah, you start wondering, does this injury change how the front office approaches the trade deadline? Because before, everyone was talking about getting another wide receiver for Josh Allen. Now, maybe you've got to prioritize a defensive tackle too. If I'm Brandon Beane, I'm working the phones nonstop. Maybe call the Saints, see if they consider moving Rashid Shaheed and Nathan Shepard in some kind of package. Or maybe check in with Minnesota about Harrison Phillips. Whatever the route, they need reinforcements. Still, the Bills' biggest question might not even be about personnel. It's about philosophy. There's been a lot of talk lately about the everybody eats mentality on offense and what that really means. Some folks think it's just about spreading the ball around evenly, but that's not quite it. It's about unselfishness. It's about everyone doing their part to make the play work, even when they're not the ones touching the ball. It's about receivers running decoy routes at full speed, tight ends blocking their tails off, and running backs picking up blitzers without hesitation. It's about playing for the team, not the stat sheet. And that's something the Bills' offense needs to rediscover in the coming weeks. You look at teams like the Chiefs now trying to copy that same "everybody eats" slogan, and it's honestly kind of funny because the Bills started that vibe last year. But imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? Still, the idea behind it matters. In football, especially at this level, selfishness kills chemistry. You can't have receivers pouting because they didn't get the ball or backs complaining about snaps. The most dangerous offenses are the ones where everyone buys in, where even when you're not getting touches, you're still helping create big plays for someone else. That's the real meaning of it, and that's what Buffalo has to get back to if they want to finish strong. And speaking of finishing strong, the road ahead is no joke. Between the Chiefs, Eagles, and Texans, plus divisional matchups against the Dolphins and Patriots, every week is going to feel like a playoff game. The margin for error is razor thin, and the Bills can't afford any more slip-ups. They've got the talent, they've got the quarterback, but now it's about execution, discipline, and finding that same energy that carried them through last season's run. Because if the Patriots really do go on that streak and hit 12 wins, Buffalo will have no choice but to match that pace. This division could come down to that late season game between the Bills and Patriots, and you better believe that one's going to feel like a playoff preview. The AFC East crown might literally hinge on it. And the crazy part? That matchup could decide who has to hit the road come January, and who gets to stay home in Orchard Park with the snow falling and the fans losing their minds. Now let's talk about the noise surrounding Brian Thomas Jr., because this rumor has been flying around and it's got Bills fans buzzing. There's talk that the Jaguars might actually be open to moving him, and that raises a ton of questions. We're talking about a 23-year-old wide receiver with serious potential, still on his rookie deal for more than 3 years, and already showing flashes of what could be a star-level ceiling. That kind of player almost never becomes available unless something strange is going on behind the scenes. So, is there any truth to this? I think, yeah, there probably is, and the reasons make sense once you start connecting the dots. You've got to remember, it's not the same general manager or coaching staff in Jacksonville that drafted him. That's always a big deal in the NFL. Whenever a new regime comes in, they want to build around their own guys, their own picks, their own vision. It's an ego thing, plain and simple. And even if a player has talent, if he's not one of their players, sometimes they're a lot quicker to move on. That's just how the league works. And on top of that, Thomas has had a rough stretch this season. He's been inconsistent, had some moments where his focus just wasn't there, and a few plays where you can tell the confidence has dipped. People call it the yips, but it's really about rhythm and mentality. The talent's still there, no question, but something hasn't been clicking. So here's the reality. I'd be interested in Brian Thomas Jr., but only at the right price. I'm not giving up a massive haul for him. If someone calls me asking for 2 first-round picks and a player like Keon Coleman on top of it, I'm hanging up the phone immediately. That's insane value for a guy who still had a lot to prove. Don't get me wrong, I liked his skill set when he came out of college. He's big, fast, and athletic, the kind of receiver who can stretch the field and win jump balls. But when you put on the tape, you saw red flags. There were moments where he shied away from contact, plays where you wanted him to be more physical and assertive. That stuff matters when you're projecting how a player will handle the next level. Now, could a change of scenery help him? Absolutely. Sometimes a player just needs a new locker room, a different system, a quarterback who trusts him. Playing with Josh Allen could be exactly what reignites him. But it has to make sense financially and strategically for the Bills. A conditional second-rounder that could become a first if he hits certain marks? Sure, I'd think about that. But 2 first-rounders? No chance. You can't make that kind of move unless you're completely convinced the guy is a difference-maker from day one. And right now, there's too much uncertainty. Let's also not forget that the Bills have inside connections who could give them real insight here. Gabe Davis, Ryan Nielsen, Mitch Morse, all guys who've spent time around Thomas in Jacksonville. If you're Brandon Beane, you're calling those guys, asking every question imaginable. What's his attitude like in the locker room? How does he handle coaching? What's he like when things aren't going his way? Those answers would tell you everything. Because talent alone isn't enough. You need to know if he's wired the right way to fit into this Bills culture. Now, speaking of Gabe Davis, I've seen a lot of people saying maybe he could be part of the solution for this passing offense. That if he gets healthy, it might change how aggressive the Bills need to be at the deadline. But let's pump the brakes on that. Gabe hasn't even practiced yet. He's still on the injured reserve practice squad list, and we have no timeline for his return. You can't make roster decisions based on a player who hasn't stepped on the field. Once he practices, once he proves he can run, cut, and play at full speed again, then you can start thinking about how he fits. But right now, he shouldn't factor into trade talks at all. That said, when he's healthy, he has value. He's made big postseason plays with Josh Allen. He's got chemistry in the deep passing game, and he's a known commodity in this offense. You don't ignore that, but you also don't let it stop you from adding another dynamic playmaker if the right opportunity comes along. The Bills' passing attack needs juice. Stephon Diggs can't do everything. Khalil Shakir has stepped up. Dalton Kincaid's developing nicely, but that vertical threat, that big body target who can win one-on-one battles, that's still missing. And maybe Brian Thomas Jr. could become that. But you've got to be smart about how much you're willing to pay for potential. Now, let's shift gears for a second, because there's another topic Bills fans have been asking a lot about, the injured reserve rules. Danielle asked a great question the other day about whether there's a limit to how many players can go on injured reserve and how many can come back. And yeah, this is something that's good to clear up because it's kind of complicated. Technically, there's no limit to how many players you can place on injured reserve during the season. You can stash as many injured players as you need to. The catch is that you can only bring back 8 of them during the regular season, and then 2 more once you reach the playoffs. Right now, the Bills have used 2 of those return slots, one on Maxwell Harrison and one on Tylan Grail. That means they've got 6 left for the rest of the season, and that's actually a comfortable spot to be in. There's still flexibility to bring back key guys like TJ Sanders, Taylor Rapp, Tyler Bass, DeMar Hamlin, and maybe even Ed Oliver later if things go well. It's all about timing. The front office just has to be strategic, making sure they save those return designations for players who are truly ready to contribute. And that's the thing. This team's been hit hard by injuries, but they've managed to keep their heads above water. It's been far from perfect, but there's still a sense that if they can get healthy at the right time, they can make a serious run. Because when this roster is fully loaded, it's one of the best in football. The key is just surviving this stretch, stealing a few wins, even when they're not at full strength, and setting themselves up for that December push. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are stirring in the NFL world after a provocative statement from Bills star running back James Cook. In a recent, seemingly offhand comment, Cook declared, "If he comes, it's because they don't need me here at the Bills." The remark has sent shockwaves through the league, fueling speculation about potential roster moves, hidden tensions, and what this could mean for the team's strategy moving forward. While Cook didn't explicitly name who he is, insiders immediately began connecting the dots. Could it be a high-profile free agent, a potential trade acquisition, or perhaps a veteran looking for a fresh start in Buffalo? The timing is intriguing. The Bills have been in talks with several top-tier talents, and Cook's comments suggest a level of confidence, or maybe a warning, that he sees himself as indispensable. Social media exploded within minutes, with fans and pundits dissecting every nuance of Cook's words. Some interpreted the comment as a challenge to management, signaling that Cook feels secure in his role and is unwilling to share the spotlight. Others believe it's a subtle hint at dissatisfaction, a prelude to potential unrest if a new star were to arrive. Either way, the buzz around Orchard Park is palpable and locker room dynamics are suddenly under the microscope. Historically, Cook has shown flashes of brilliance that make him a cornerstone of the Bills' offense. His ability to shift defenses, exploit gaps, and deliver under pressure has cemented him as a fan favorite. However, his recent remark has sparked a rumor mill that could impact negotiations, both for new acquisitions and Cook himself. Some analysts argue that this could be a strategic move, testing the waters to gauge how management and teammates react. Others warn that such public declarations could backfire if the team moves forward with a major signing regardless of his statements. One thing is certain, the NFL community will be watching closely. Every training camp interaction, media briefing, and social post could offer clues about what Cook truly meant. Is this just locker room banter, or the opening salvo in a larger saga? For now, speculation reigns supreme, and the Buffalo Bills, already one of the league's most intriguing franchises, have just added another layer to their unfolding drama. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.